The air in the old mansion was heavy, not with dust, but with silent reproaches and accusing glances. Isabel, sitting at the end of the long mahogany table, felt the weight of each one of them like stones thrown at her chest. How could she explain that on the night the money disappeared, she was in her studio, engrossed in a painting, oblivious to the movements in the mansion? No one believed her, not even her mother, Dona Elvira, whose maternal love seemed to have dissolved into disappointment. Among old sketches and handwritten notes, an envelope appeared. It wasn't new. The corners were worn, and the paper yellow. Inside, there was no money, but a series of documents. A secret will, different from the official one, dated just a few weeks before Don Ricardo's death. But there's, in judging her without a shred of trust, in prioritizing money over truth and over their own system. Don't miss any of our fascinating narrative. Subscribe to our channel right now and leave a like so we can keep creating content that hooks you from the start. Isabel looked at them, no longer with the plea of someone seeking forgiveness, but with the serene dignity of one who has been vindicated. The fortune remained intact, but family trust and unity had been shattered in a way that all the money in the world couldn't repair. In the end, what she revealed not only absolved her but left them all, condemned by their own blindness and greed, in a deafening silence. In it, her father detailed a considerable donation, not to a foundation or a family bank account, but to a little-known charity that supported struggling young artists. He mentioned his desire for the money to be delivered discreetly, without publicity, to avoid public scrutiny and potential opposition from his children, who had always scorned charitable investments in art. Ricardo trusted you, Isabel. How could you betray him? She had said in a whining voice that echoed in her ears, and there was an attached letter, in her father's unmistakable handwriting, addressed to her, with a firm voice, but with the visible pain in her eyes from the injustice she had endured. She spread the papers on the table. The silence that followed was different. It was a silence of shock, of shame. Ernesto picked up the documents, his eyes scanning every line of the secret will. Clara brought a hand to her mouth, her eyes fixed on Don Ricardo's letter. Dona Elvira slowly stood up and walked to the window, her back hunched, her silence more eloquent than any words. In it, Don Ricardo explained that he had trusted her good judgment and discretion to ensure the donation reached its destination. He asked her to do it without raising suspicion, given the private nature of the transaction. Her father's words were clear. I know that you, Isabel, are the only one who truly understands the value of a dream. I trust you to honor my last will. It hadn't been a theft. It had been an act of faith. The family, known for its fortune and unbreakable unity, was now crumbling from within, and Isabel was the perfect scapegoat. She was different, yes. She had rejected the family business to pursue her passion for art, living modestly, sometimes barely getting by, but always with a freedom that her siblings, trapped in their golden cage, secretly envied. That difference was now her condemnation. 6 months prior, the patriarch Don Ricardo's inheritance had mysteriously vanished. $50 million. And all suspicions pointed to Isabel, the black sheep. The dreamy artist who had never quite fit into the pragmatic world of the family business. Her older brother, Ernesto, his face etched with bitterness, was the most vehement. You were always irresponsible, Isabel. Did you think no one would notice? He had snapped at the first family meeting, where her sentence already seemed decided. Her sister, Clara, the perfect wife and mother, barely looked at her. Her lips pursed in a gesture of disapproval that hurt more than any shout. I can't believe you did this to the family, she whispered, as if Isabel's mere presence desecrated the air. Isabel had tried to defend herself, to explain, but her words were lost in the whirlwind of assumptions and prejudices. Family meetings turned into summary trials, where every one of Isabel's gestures was misinterpreted, every word used against her. The furtive glances of the employees, the whispers in the hallways, the feeling of being constantly under scrutiny, it all contributed to her isolation. The pressure was immense. She considered leaving, disappearing, but a stubborn need for justice tied her to that place. She hadn't stolen, and she wanted them to know it. One afternoon, while sifting through her father's old papers in the study he had bequeathed to her, the only space where she felt Sir Isabel found something unexpected. Isabel's heart pounded. The dates coincided with the money's disappearance. With the documents in hand, Isabel called the family to a final meeting. This time, there was no room for reproach. Isabel's condemnation vanished into the air, replaced by a stinging revelation. The true betrayal hadn't been hers. Were you surprised by this unexpected twist? If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, imagine what's to come.